Thanks for joining us. I'm Nancy Furness, and this is We've Got Issues. Our interviews are taking place at the Coquitlam City Centre Library, and we'd like to thank the library for providing this space for us. Before we get started, I'd also like to acknowledge that our interview is taking place on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded lands of Coquitlam First Nation. So we thank the Coquitlam people who continue to live on these lands and to care for the lands and the waters and all that lies above and below. So today I'm joined by RCMP Inspector Veronica Fox. So thanks so much for joining us today, Veronica.
Thank you for having us.
Now you are the highest ranking female officer in Coquitlam. Can you tell me maybe just start us off by telling us what inspired you to join the RCMP?
So I was actually on a different track when I was young, in high school. I was going to be a journalist.
Oh, wow.
Yes, and
we should trade spots.
Yeah,
here.
maybe later afterwards. And I did some internships and started to get into it. And then I started to volunteer. I'd always been an avid volunteer since I've been in Girl Guides, really important to our family. So I started to volunteer at a community policing station and fell in love with policing, got to go on a ride along back in the day and did a night shift and came back all excited and realized that policing was a calling. So I ended up signing up with the RCMP and spent 6 really fun and challenging months at Depot Division in Regina.
And chilly,
very cold.
Chilly.
I graduated January 30th. So extremely cold, but definitely one of the best experiences of my life, and super proud to be now coming back. Kind of feels like a full circle. I've been at Coquitlam Detachment for about 9 months now, 10 months, and to be in charge of community policing, where I basically started my career even before I became a Mountie, feels really good.
You know, that's a really nice story of coming sort of full circle on that. And we did want to talk about the community police offices. So can you tell us a little bit more about the role of the community police office, and also maybe a little bit about how it differs from the RCMP detachment?
So I like to think of the community policing offices as kind of satellite hubs. So there are locations in the community, though obviously you have one big detachment, but the detachment is centralized, but it's not necessarily where everyone's going to go to get service or to engage. So these satellites are opportunities for different opportunities to engage within the community in different areas in the community. And you'll see volunteers, members of the public, police officers will attend there as well for different reasons. And it's an opportunity there to engage.
Okay, great. So can you share with us some of the kinds of services that we might find at a community police office?
Yep, so you can go in to report a non-emergency crime that has occurred, even an emergency crime as well, although calling 911 is obviously the quickest response, but you can go in there and receive service.
Just some examples of non-emergency.
Non-emergency, perhaps it's a found property, or you've your wallet's been stolen, your purse has been stolen, or you could even go in and report a mischief to your property if someone broke a window or there was spray paint, graffiti. Yes. And the volunteers and the CPO employees there will be able to help you with the best way, be it online reporting, or a police officer may come and meet you at the CPO.
Okay, that's interesting. So I think that's a good thing for the public to know, that if they find a lost wallet or something like that, that these community police offices are a place where they can drop that, and then people can actually go in there and claim it? Yeah,
absolutely. So if there's found property and you want to drop it off at the CPO, that's great. And then a file is assigned to that, and we'll do our best to identify the owner and get their property back to them.
Oh, excellent. And who could we expect to see at the community police office? Like, who is staffing the offices?
So the cities hire city employees, municipal employees, and they are the coordinators. So there'll be a coordinator at each CPO. There's also some support staff often, and of course volunteers and police officers do like to go into the they do like to go in there every now and again to take a break, maybe to utilize the space. There's some office space for them to utilize as well. So they don't necessarily have to go all the way back to the detachment, perhaps to use the washroom, but they can maybe drop into the CPO as well and engage with the volunteers. One of my fond memories of being part of like a volunteer in a CPO was when the police officers would show up, you could start chatting with them and ask them questions and get information about, what they like about their jobs and the career and that.
Well, and it's interesting because I think something that we oftentimes overlook is relationship building. And these offices sound like it's a great place for the RCMP to build relationships with the community, and in your case, maybe even recruit the next sort of generation of RCMP officers.
Yeah, certainly a side benefit, I'll call it. But our volunteers don't necessarily all go on the same track. We have a very diverse group of volunteers, some old, varying ages, older, younger, people who have happy careers in other fields and just want to give back to the community. And this is the place where they can go and do that, and they feel fulfilled in that way.
So can we talk maybe a little bit more about the volunteers? Is it full-time, or can you pick your hours?
So there's a number of different opportunities for volunteerism at our community police stations. We have so different volunteer activities will dictate how many hours, but really it comes down to how much time the individual wants to give, can give, work around their schedule. We have a number that I'd like to talk to you about today. In particular, we have Block Watch. That's one of the services you can access, either access as a member of the public or volunteer with. That's where communities will come together in a neighborhood and watch each other's property, watch out for each other, and they're partnered with a police connection through the CPO so that they have extra resources available to them to support that activity. Is one of the programs that we offer out of the CPOs.
That's really interesting. I've seen Block Watch and the signs in the windows, so that if you're interested in getting involved in that, then you should go to your community police office and ask them about that? Yeah,
that's one way you can do that. We also have our website. If you Google Coquitlam RCMP volunteering, a lot of opportunities will come up, including that one. Another one I'm quite fond of is the what we call Speed Watch. So our volunteers will set up, on the roadside. They'll be able to utilize a radar to clock certain vehicles, and then those vehicles are given to, or the license plates are basically, queried by the police, and letters can be sent out to people reminding them to slow down. I find that that's an effective program.
It is very effective. Sometimes you see the cardboard cutout of somebody looking at you through the radar camera.
Yep, that's a Constable Scarecrow.
Oh, okay, I did not know that.
That's actually our traffic services that has had that program in the past. Oh, okay. He tends to move around the community. Yep.
So what kind of areas would this Speed Watch be set up in? Are there particular areas that you target?
So we have a lot of stats from the province with respect to the most dangerous intersections, or where the most crashes. Maybe dangerous isn't the right word, but where the most crashes tend to happen. So we can target our enforcement in those areas, and volunteers are a good way to help us with, just a friendly reminder for people to lay off the gas.
Yes. Can you talk a little bit more about the volunteers? What requirements would you need in order to volunteer?
So there's details on our website as well. Generally speaking, for most programs, you need to be 19 years old or older, and you have to successfully attain a security check or pass a security check, obviously police records check, and that's pretty much it. You also have to have a passion for the communities and what you want to bring, and I find there's a lot of opportunity at these kind of community-based establishments for people to come up with new ideas, right? And so when I was one of the things we used to do, we did a bike patrol, the one I was at, but I also was into journalism, and they let me run with a project where I published in the local newspaper once every 4 months or so, safety tips and all of that. So there's many different options, and it's kind of like just engagement with the CPO and the community.
There's so many opportunities here. Can you talk a little bit about, maybe just give us a run through of what a typical day might be at the office? Like if somebody's coming in to volunteer, from the time they walk through the door, can you just walk us through sort of a typical day, what might happen?
So it really depends on the program you're doing. Like I said, they're kind of a hub, so people will come and go. Police officers may come. Depends on if you're staying in the CPO or if you're going there just to meet and then leaving and going and doing what I described earlier, the speed watch, right? So that's going to be very different. You're going to put on your volunteer outfit and you're going to go out and be roadside with the police. Another one that our volunteers help with is during counterattack. They actually attend the counterattack, and the police officers do the enforcement piece, but they help by keeping tallies on how many folks go through that roadblock and get checked by police. So that looks very different.
So counterattack, can you just explain what that is a little bit? What are you looking for?
Absolutely. So counterattack is a province-wide initiative, and local police will set up roadblocks, and effectively we're looking to enforce for impaired driving.
Okay. So there's so many ways to volunteer and be involved then. So some folks may actually stay in the office though?
Yeah, it's possible you can stay in the office and do office-related activities. I think a lot of people do enjoy going out and doing different initiatives. Sometimes they're called upon when they're needed. So for example, we have the SPICE program, so that's special post-incident community engagement.
Oh, wow.
And that's a program wherein if we have a critical incident that happens in the community, or a large spread one that's impacted a lot of people, then we can call together police along with volunteers who set it up, organize it, to a kind of a town hall, community hall feel. People can have their voices heard. They can talk about how they felt impacted. They can receive some information from the police, safety information, or even reassurance. And that's a really effective program. We did that last in 2023 after there were a number of critical incidents in the neighborhood in a particular area, and people were really concerned. Luckily, these are very rare, but when they do happen, they can really negatively impact people's mental health or feeling of safety. And so that's something that the volunteers are able to kind of organize and bring people together to help with that.
I find that really interesting. So it's almost like a place to debrief and get some support. And when you talk about critical incidents, are you talking about like fires and accidents, or
it could be
or
usually there's an element of violence or safety, personal safety. So it would be a wide something that impacts a lot of people or had the potentiality to impact a lot of people, and something like a very large fire where many people are displaced would be something we would consider as well. So
you would be working maybe with emergency management services a little bit as well?
Certainly could bring people in to talk to the community that would be relevant to the incident that occurred.
Okay. I have another volunteer question.
Yes.
This is a lot of, there's a lot of different areas that you've identified where volunteers can be involved. Do they get any training?
We do have specific training for specific different duties. Another good example is the child car seat program. So at our CPOs, they've received training from ICBC in this case, to be able to properly install a car seat. So people can bring that to the CPO, and they can have that car seat installed and shown how to do it in the proper way. So that's one training piece. Another one we're really excited about is the auxiliary program. So the auxiliary program is a partnership. It's run between the commanding officer of BC RCMP and the Ministry of Public Safety and the SolGen. And that program is quite in-depth. There's quite significant amount of training because those who are selected, they have to go through a criminal record check. They have to meet RCMP security clearance standards. They are then put through considerable training and are, at the end of this, granted peace officer status. So
So peace officer means you carry a gun?
No.
No?
So there's many under the BC
Okay.
Police Act. Peace officer is a little bit different.
Oh, okay.
So all police are peace officers, but not all peace officers are police officers, if that makes sense. So
okay,
correctional
it does.
officers and the auxiliaries. So for example, they would not carry a firearm,
Okay.
but they do have a uniform that says auxiliary on it, and you'll see them in the community. We're in the middle of our security clearance process. We're going to have a class through soon, and then they will be out and they can do certain things like attend public events, community talks, those types of things. We're very excited to have them in the community.
I actually didn't know that program was still up and running because I think years ago we used to see them at the PNE helping people cross the street and managing traffic, things like that. That would be the auxiliary. So do they also have the opportunity to ride along with the RCMP officers, or is that?
That one, I'm not entirely sure. I know that there have been some changes to the program over the last while, and that's probably why you saw a pause or a change in service. With respect to the PNE managing traffic, I think that's specifically a different unit that works with the Vancouver Police there. But we do have, we are looking forward to having them at our community events, and they will be out with police officers too. So at those events, engaging with the public, doing the community policing, which is really the biggest part of a lot of what we do as police.
It sounds like there's so many opportunities here and a nice way to build relationships with the community as well. Can you tell us, where are these community police offices in the Tri-Cities?
Yes, so we have 2 in Port Coquitlam and 2 in Coquitlam. We have Mary Hill as well as Emerson Way. As well as Mary Hill, Emerson Way, Coast Meridian, and Ridgeway.
Oh, okay.
Right, so 4 of them.
I think I know where all of those are, except for the Emerson one. I'll have to go check that out. And Port Moody, of course, has a different police coverage, so they don't have a
They're a completely
office.
different police force, so I'm not sure. Actually, I do believe they may or may not have one. I haven't.
But just not under your oversight.
We wouldn't go and staff there. It would be the city of Port Moody that would manage that.
And interesting, so there are city staff involved as well. So you've got liaison between RCMP and city staff and the public and volunteers. So it's a really nice kind of way to bring everybody together. What are the hours? Like, if somebody went to a community police office, when would it be open?
The hours tend to vary. We do try to keep them mostly during the day. They're going to be open. At night, they are closed for the public. Well, you may or may not have police officers that pop in and use the space, but the hours are all posted on our website.
Okay, and then for people who want to get more involved and volunteer, can you tell us again how they would get in touch with you?
Absolutely. So they can go onto our website and search Coquitlam RCMP or BC RCMP and volunteer, and they will be able to find all of the opportunities there. But we also encourage, if you want to volunteer at a CPO, feel free to drop by during office hours, ask questions, and talk to the people that are there.
Oh, that's a great idea, to come down and just check it out and get comfortable and then maybe apply.
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh. So thank you so much, Veronica. Is there anything else you'd like to add before we wrap up here?
No, just that, community policing is something that is very close to my heart, having done it as a young volunteer. I have a lot of respect for the work that our volunteers are doing. They're giving their own time. The CPO staff as well, who are engaged tirelessly at running events, managing volunteers, and offering training opportunities, all of the things. It's a really good way to give back to the community, and we're really proud of how in our communities here, how they represent the organization and their partnership with us.
Thank you so much for sharing all of that. It's been a pleasure to talk to you, and I hope that maybe we can talk again in the future.
Absolutely. Thank
Hey,
you.
thanks so much for joining us. This is We've Got Issues, and we've been speaking with Inspector Veronica Fox from the Coquitlam RCMP.